Hi friends, so we will continue with our video series Artificial Intelligence in Gaming. Today we are going to see how a program is written in Unity 3D. I am going to move and rotate the character which we created in the last example. We can have different types of data types in C#. So some examples are integer, float, string, then boolean. So integer is used to store a number without decimal point, and the float is used to store a number with decimal point, and a boolean data type is used to store a true or false value. So a boolean can store either a true value or the false value. The instructions which we give to a computer, that is called a statement. When you give a statement like print hi there, that statement is executed by computer. So if you give more than one statement like print hi there, then in the next line you are giving print I am Ajish. So first line, first computer will execute print hi there, then next the computer will execute I am Ajish. These statements are executed from top to bottom. When you want to execute a group of statements more than once, then you can use a function. A function, you can say that you can group a more than one statements, and whenever you want to execute these group of statements, you can use function to execute these statements. So you don't have to repeat the same statements over and over. You can have to just call a function with its name. So whatever is the statements you have mentioned in that particular function will be executed. So I have used these concepts in the C# file which I am going to show you, and I hope you will find it easy to understand how a C# file could be created, and it can be used to control a character which we have created in Unity. So let us start. In the last class we have created a ground, then we have created the walls around that ground, then we also created a character called Spartan King. So when you play that, we have the ground and a character standing just idle in that position. Right now we cannot control or we cannot move that character because it is still idle, and we are not able to control or move this or rotate that character. For that, when you select the Spartan King, you can see that it has got a transform component and it has got an animation component. In the animation component, you can see the animations which are available for that particular character, that is idle, walk, run, charge, resist, victory. We have different kinds of animations available right now. So if you want to see a particular animation, you can select that animation and click here. So you can see that we have different types of animations created for this character. These animations normally created not in Unity but in the other softwares like Maya or Blender, like that. Any other software we use to create this animation, and we import that to Unity. So how I am going to control this character? When I press on the up arrow and down arrow in the keyboard, I want this to walk. And when I press on the left arrow and right arrow, I want this character to rotate. And when I press the up arrow and down arrow again, I want this to move in that particular direction. So for that, like I told you, we have to create a program to control this character. So I will go to the assets folder.
There I am going to create a new folder especially to store the scripting files. So right click on that and go to create folder. Okay, so there I will give the name as scripts. Select that scripts, and inside that script I am going to create a new script file. Okay, so that is the my programming file to control this Spartan King character. So just select that scripts folder, then right click, then go to create. So here you can see that I have the C# script file. So just select that, and before pressing enter, I will give the name for that particular script. So always remember that you just give a name which is related to that functionality of that script. So here I want to create a script which is going to control the Spartan. So I will give the name as Spartan controller. Okay, after entering the name, press enter. So you can see that I have created a C# file. Then if you want to edit that, we need to edit this script file. For that, double click on that Spartan controller script file. So by default, in Unity, it will open in Visual Studio. When I open that Spartan controller C# script in the Visual Studio, you are getting some of the predefined functions there, like start and update. You can see that I have given the name of that class as Spartan controller, and here you can see that that class is created, that Spartan controller, and it is inherited from the mono behavior. Okay, so it is the mono behavior is the parent class of a Spartan controller class. You can see that we have two functions, two events which is already available in that particular class. One is the start, the other is the update. Okay, what is the use of start? Start is called before the frame is updated. So when you watch a movie, it is a series of images which is played in a very high speed. At that time only we get the illusion like it is moving. Like that, we have in the games, we have the frames per second. There are 30 frames or 60 frames are called. Each and every frame is updated every second. So before the first frame update, we call the start function. So start function is used to initialize our starting values. Okay, so that I will give an example right now. Then update is called once in each frame. So if you have 30 frames per second, then this update is called for 30 frames per second. So 30 times it is called in 1 second. But start is called only once, that is before first frame update. Okay, so we will now start writing the program for controlling this player character. You remember that what I want to do for that particular character. So I want to move this character when I press the up arrow in the keyboard and down arrow in the keyboard. And I want to rotate this character when I press on the left arrow and the right arrow. So before that, I want to define some of the variables which I am going to use. When I press on this up arrow and down arrow, I want this character to walk. Okay, so for that I need a speed of walking. Okay, so I need to define at what speed the character will walk. So for that I will create a float variable called walk speed. Then I will give another value for defining what is the speed in which the character will rotate. For that I will give the value as rotate speed. Then I will just give the value of key down. Okay, so then when I want to rotate, I want to press on the left and right arrows. to store that value, I will give another float value, that is rotate key down. Okay, so these are the variables which I am going to define for that. I mentioned that we have, when you are creating a 3D game, we have three axes are there. One is X, then Y, then Z. So for that, in the walking, the direction of walking, I need to define a value, that is X, Y and Z values. Then for rotation also, I need to define these three axis values, X, Y and Z. So for that, to store these values, I will create vector 3. Vector 3, I will give it as name as walk direction. Then when I start the game, everything will be 0. X will be 0, Y will be 0 and Z will be 0. So I will give that vector 3 dot 0 value. Then same way I will give that vector 3 for the rotate direction. So that is rotate direction is equal to vector 3 dot 0. I will give the initialization values for that walk speed function, that is start function. So I will just give it as walk speed, which I have defined. I will give the value as 3. It is a float value, that's why I have to give 3.0 f. Okay. Then I will just go in the rotate speed. I will give the value as 2L. So if you want to move in a higher speed, you can give the value as 4, 5, 6 like that. Then if you want to increase the rotate speed also, then you can give the value like 3, 4 like that. But this is the values when I checked. This is the value which is I found it more suitable for that particular character. Then for rotate key down also, I will define the value as 0. So I have defined these three variable values. I want to move this character when I press those keys. So for moving that character, I need to attach a character controller to that character. So going back to Unity and select the Spartan King, and here we will get the inspector window where you can see the components which is used for the Spartan King, that is transform. Then we have the animation. So to control this character, for moving this character, I will add another component, that is called, go to add component, go to physics, then go to character controller. Using this character controller, I am going to control this Spartan. Define that character controller in the script. So for that, I will go to character controller. Okay, then I can just give this name as controller. So for that, I will define what is the controller. Okay, so you can just give it as controller is equal to get component character controller. I have identified that this controller is, I have to get the particular component called character controller, which is, so I have already defined here. Okay, so if it is not there, then it will not work. Next, I will go to update. Okay, so if you want to find out a user input, like when a user is pressing the key or not, in those cases you can use the update. But in this example, I am going to use physics also, because I am using character controller. So instead of update, I am going to use fixed update. It is same as update, but it is used when you are using physics. You just understand that the both are doing the same thing, but when you are using physics, it will be more efficient when you use fixed update. For that, now I will define what is the walk direction. Okay, so I will just go for walk direction is equal to, then I will just go for new vector 3. Then I will give the value of input. So I am going to find out which key that a user is going to press. Okay, so input dot get axis. Then I will just give it as horizontal 0 because I am not jumping in the air. I am not changing the y direction. I am going to change the horizontal and vertical direction. Okay, so you can just go for input dot get axis and vertical. So when I am pressing on the left and right arrows, it will take the horizontal values, and when I give the up and down arrow, it will give the vertical value. So I will just explain what is the input values, from where I got these values. So go to Unity 3D again. When you go to edit, I will get the project settings. Okay. So in this project settings, in this I have different types of settings which you can give: physics, graphics, editor, like that. There I have the input settings also. So input setting is where we are going to define which keys or which buttons that user is going to press and what is going to be the action of after pressing those keys. So here you can see that in input I have axis section. In the axis section I have given the name as horizontal, and the for vertical I have given the name as vertical. You can see that which are the buttons I am going to use. For the negative button I am using the left, that is the left key. Then we have the positive button, that is the right key. By alternatively we can give the A key also and the D key also. In most of the games you can control that character with the arrow keys as well as the A, S, D and W keys. Alternatively, you can use any of these keys to control that character. So that is what I have defined here. This is, you can use left, right arrow, or you can use A or D buttons also to control this character. For vertical, same way you can use the down and up arrow keys, and you can use S or W. So this is where I get the values of horizontal and vertical names that I used in this script. Next, I want to change the direction from the local to the global values. Okay. So for that, I will go for walk direction. Again, I will define that walk direction is equal to transform dot transform direction walk direction. Okay, so I am just changing these values which I got from the first line to from the local axis to the world axis. I am going to change the speed according to this value. So I can go for walk direction is equal to. So I am just multiplying this with my walk speed. So what is my walk speed? Walk speed is 3. So whatever value I am getting, I am multiplying this with this particular value. Character will walk in that particular speed. So if you are going with instead of 3, I am giving 6, then it will multiply that value with 6. So it will walk with more speed. Next, I am going to rotate this. Okay, so for rotating, which is the keys I am going to use? I am going to use the right and left arrow. I can use the horizontal axis values. Okay, so I can just go for rotate. Rotate key down is equal to input dot get axis. So I got the rotate key down. When I press the right arrow key, I will get a positive value, and when I press the left arrow key, I will get a negative value. According to the value which I get when I press the right arrow and left arrow, I am going to rotate this in the y axis. I will just go for if rotate key down. Okay, so rotate key down is greater than 0.08. Okay, So if it is greater than 0, then in which direction I will just rotate it in the clockwise direction. Okay, so I can just go for rotate direction is equal to vector 3 0 comma 1 comma 0. Okay, so I want to rotate this character in the y-axis. So I can just to show you this. When you want to rotate that character in that clockwise and anti-clockwise direction, you can change the y-axis. So if you are changing the x-axis, then you can see that in which way it is going to rotate. See, it is going to rotate this way. And if I am going to rotate in the z-axis, then you can see how it is going to rotate. It is not the way which I want to rotate. I want to rotate this in the y-axis. Okay, so you can see that I can rotate this in the y-axis. So that is why in this script I am changing this value to the 1. If it is so, it is greater than 0, then I will rotate in the clockwise direction, and if it is less than 0.5, and else rotate key down is less than 0.0 L. Then I will give the rotate direction as I want to rotate it in the opposite direction. Okay, so I will just give it as minus value. Okay, and if I am not pressing any key, that is left or right key, I don't want it to rotate in any direction. So I will just give one more condition, that is else if rotate key down is equal to 0.0 is equal to new vector 3 0, 0, 0. Next we will write the code for moving this character now. So okay, so for that I told you we have to use the character controller. So what is my character controller? That is the controller. You can see it is get component character controller. I have given the name as controller. So I will just give the command to the controller to move. Then control dot move walk direction. So this is for moving or walking. I am using the value walk direction. Then I will go for walk direction into time dot fixed delta time. Fixed delta time is used, or the time dot delta time is used. Some computers process very efficiently, and some computers are very slow. It doesn't process that efficiently. So when you play the same game in these two different types of computers with different efficiencies, it will affect the performance. To avoid that, I am going to make it independent of that efficiency of that computer. So that is why I am using the fixed delta time, or we can use the time dot delta time. I have given the command for moving that character. Then next I will give the command for rotating. Okay, so control dot transform dot rotate. So I am, which is the value rotate direction. I want to rotate in the speed which I have defined for rotating. So rotate speed is 2. So I will just give that value as rotate speed. So right now we can see that I have created a Spartan controller script, and you can see what is the script I have written for that particular script. You can see that when I press the keys, nothing is happening. Okay, because so I have created that script, but I have not attached that to my character. I will select the Spartan thing, and I will just click and drag the Spartan controller, and I will drop it in the inspector window. Okay, then in the I have a Spartan controller attached now. Then I will play this file. So now we can see that I am rotating and moving this character now. So using the left arrow and right arrow I can rotate this character, and using the up arrow and down arrow I can move this character. But here you can see that when I move this character, I don't have any animation. So it is just standing still and the legs are not moving. So when you select the Spartan King, you can see that in the animation component, I have this animation called walk. Okay, so that is what I have. I am going to use. Right now I am in the idle animation. Okay, so you can see that by automatically it will call the idle animation. And but when I walk, I want to change this to walk animation. Okay, so for that I will write the script for to find out whether this is working or not. Create a boolean return function. Okay, so you can just go for public bool function. I am checking whether this is moving or not. Okay, so I will just give it as return value. So what I am going to do is that in my walk directions magnitude. Okay, so it is the length of that walk direction. If it is greater than 0.5, then I will assume that this is character is moving, and if it is not greater than 0.5, then I will assume that this is not moving. Okay, so if a walk direction dot magnitude, if it is greater than 0.5 f, okay, so if it is greater than 0.5 f, then this function will return the value of true, and if it is less than or equal to 0.5, then it will return the value of false. Okay, so that is the use of bool. So you will get a true or false value there. So after this line of code, I will write the code for calling this animation. So here I will get, if when I call that function, I will get a value of true or false. Like if it is moving, then where is my, how I will call the animation? I have to first call that component. Okay, get component. You can see that my component, that is the name of that component is animation. Okay, so go to get component animation, call the function, this command called play. Okay, so play, in which animation I want to play the, I want to play the animation called walk. Okay, so just give the name as walk. If it is, the character is moving, then I will call the animation called walk. Else, if it is not moving, then what I will do? If it is not moving, then I will go back to my idle animation. Okay, so for that, go to get component animation dot play. What is the name of the animation which I want to play for the idle? That is idle. Okay, so go to give that name as idle. I will go back to Unity and play this. So here when I can see that when I am walking, you can see that animation is playing. My walking animation is playing right now. But if I am not pressing anything, that is my speed value is less than 0.5, so it is going back to its idle animation. Okay, then you can just walk this animation using this.
So I hope you got the idea of how a program is written in Unity to control a character. So we can use programming like this to create a lot of functionalities and effects in our game. In the coming videos, we will see more and more examples of how to program in C# in Unity 3D. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.